Today on Experts Showcase, productivity expert Penny Zenker talking about the productivity zone. Having you as our guest expert today on the Expert Showcase. Welcome to Chris M. Sprague, who is the man at the helm and the man at the controls here that makes this show happen. That's why we call him Chris Make It Happen Sprague. Penny, we just shot an episode for Expert Showcase. We're going to show people that episode in just a couple of minutes, but we like to actually start by going behind the episode a little bit and having a little bit of a conversation with our guests, and then talking about how we came up with this episode, how you got to be the expert that you are, and a few other things. So let's kind of start there, Penny. Give me a little sense of how did you get interested in productivity? How did you become the expert that you are? What's your background here?
Well, thanks, Mark. How did I become that? Well, because I'm not perfect, and I have a lot of challenges in productivity. Is one of the first things, right?
Isn't that how we all become an expert? Is by solving our own problems?
It's totally true, right? We teach what we also need to learn ourselves. So
no doubt.
Really, I mean, it started by I started my own IT business back in 1996, and I built it up from just little old me to a multi-million-dollar business and sold it to a public company. And, obviously as you're building a business, and I'm sure you'll have lots of entrepreneurs who are on your show, you're juggling and wearing lots of different hats in your business. And so
that's where my hair went, I'm just hat on, hat off, hat on, hat off,
So through my own experiences, my own challenges, learning what works and what doesn't work, I've been able to take that and then bring that into my coaching. And I've, as a business coach, and I worked with Tony Robbins for the last 5 years and as one of his business coaches and working with, thousands of people around the world. The first issue that we have to get past is people say, oh, I don't have the time, right? Is we've got to get past all of the issues about how they can be more productive so that they can quasi make time, so that they can do the things that are really going to drive their business forward, right?
Don't you wish there was a way to make time?
Yeah, well, in a way, right? There's no way to make it, but because it is finite. But when we do focus on these 10 core things, that's why I was able to consolidate it down and say, okay, what are the 10 things that I was able to take from my own experience, from coaching all of these different CEOs and business leaders, to be able to say, okay, here's the core things that when we focus on these things, we're not making time, but we're creating space, right, to be able to spend our time more effectively and efficiently and know how to do that. And so that's really how I came about creating a system. And really, at the end of the day, what makes somebody an expert is that it works, is that people are then attracted to it because you've got a system that works. And I have a system that works.
Cool. Hey, and Penny, I was remiss in explaining what Chris is doing right now. The people who are viewing this can actually see what Chris is doing. He's not really checking his email right now. You might think that he's just writing messages to people and he's out on Twitter, but he's actually taking some notes on our conversation because we're gonna throw him into the role of coach consultant himself to kind of give us some feedback about what we're talking about when it comes to this whole world of content creation. So that's really my segue, because I know that you clearly are somebody who understands the value of content creation. You're out there doing it all the time. You have your own radio show, and so you're obviously out there doing that. Tell me a little bit about your philosophy of content creation, and whether you have a certain process about how you go about mapping out your show, creating an outline of your content, kind of thing.
Well, content creation is really important, especially today, because people want the convenience of being able to consume content in various different forms, right? Whether they're in the car, and I'm not saying that you should multitask. I'm just saying that some people like to listen to things. They like to be able to, when the kids go to bed, they like to be able to, watch their content because we're visual beings. And so I really believe it's important to have content of various different types.
And just to be clear, if you're watching this episode right now on your phone while driving, please don't. Do not multitask by watching video while driving. Please, I see people doing it all the time. Stop. Watch us later.
Absolutely, that is scary. And in terms of how do you pull content together, for me, I'm a big outliner, right? Is start with, okay, what is it that I'm looking to achieve, and what are the lessons that I'm looking to bring across, and then outline it and break it down from there. So, and I noticed that was something that was really part of your process too.
Absolutely, yeah.
And
so we try to make that as easy as possible. And actually, why don't you, if you wouldn't mind, I mean, since one of the things we like to do is invite people to consider being a guest on the show. Can you describe a little bit about what that process was like in terms of getting ready for the episode we're about to show people?
Yeah, it was very well organized. I felt, for anybody who's considering this, I think it's a great opportunity because you make it really easy for people. Like, I love that. Like, I went in to sign up, and it was right there. Here's the topic of your expertise. Here are the top 3 things. And I love that. And I do that in my radio show as well, because when you can make it easy for people, then it also reduces any kind of anxiety or stress that they might feel if they've never done this before. Then it just goes smoothly because they can say, oh, okay, and I know exactly what the content is going to be about, and they can relax and just do their thing.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, we definitely, and one of the reasons I wanted to absolutely invite you to be on the show is that you really have the same kind of philosophy in your entire focus as well. We really believe that it's important when you're creating content to be problem focused, and you've of course zeroed in on a huge problem, which is how to be productive, how to not waste your time. So you're creating content very much the way we advise our clients and our viewers to think about doing this, which is really zero in on the core problem areas that your target audience is experiencing, and then demonstrate to them that you have the expertise to help them. Now they can trust you. They can see that you have credibility. They can see that you really are not just putting a label out that says, "Hey, Penny's a productivity expert and she knows about this." Well, you're showing people that you have a wealth of knowledge. People are going to see in just a couple of minutes that we didn't even have time to get beyond the surface of the amount of information you have to share with people about productivity, and I keep putting air quotes around time management, and you'll see why I'm putting air quotes around that when we play the episode. Well, Penny, I could go on for hours. You have boatloads of content to share, of course, and that makes it really easy to go on and on and on. But with respect to our audience, I'm going to flip us over to Chris and bring him into the forefront here and say, Chris, coach us, advise us, help us think about what we've been randomly kind of talking about here. Hopefully it wasn't too random, but help us think about packaging some of these concepts if we were to be creating an ongoing show here.
Sure, sounds like a plan. So first of all, Penny, great episode. Those of you on the screen can already see this, but if you see my eyes darting down, I've got the notes I've taken that you've already talked about, and probably taking some more notes during this. So first of all, like I said, once again, great episode. It was interesting when you talked at the end during this behind-the-scenes episode about being a coach with Tony Robbins, which is awesome. I was going to make the joke, Mark, when you said about that I was checking my email and I was emailing Tony, but I figured we already had one SEO in there for Tony's name, so we didn't need 3. So. But anyway, so Penny, great job. I want to talk to you a little bit, just ask you a little bit about your content. I know you've written a book, and I know you do a radio show, and I know you do a lot, and I know you're ready kind of structure your content in a similar way as you talked about it. But from a from an overall content standpoint, I'll say put aside the radio show for a second and aside the book. What else do you do currently to create content, or what else have you anticipated doing to create and package some of your content?
Well, I've got some video series that I have available, so and am starting to, some of it is free, right, that somebody can sign up for a newsletter, or especially if they come on to my free assessment, there's a time waster series that they can get, and each one of them has a little workshop that's associated with it. So I believe in highly attaching a lot of value to education-based marketing type of thing. So really give people the value, and then they want more, right? Why wouldn't they if it's working for them? And so I've got a lot of video production. As I said, I have an online assessment which helps people to get a free understanding of how and where they are, and then they can decide whether they want to dig deeper. I currently do not have a blog, but I know that blogging is also a really great form of, I'm just, you know, as a productivity, I'm looking for, you know, where's the best use of my time. And you know, probably at the moment I'm doing more vlogs. I guess that's what they call it, video blogs, because I'd rather talk maybe than write it. I needed a lot of help in writing my book, right? Because you want to make sure everything's spelled right, and you know, you do need to take the time to appreciate that whatever content you put out there needs to be professional, right? You don't want to, I mean, it's going to represent you. So, and I know that you guys probably talk about this all the time, getting the right type of audio in when you're doing a video, or making sure that somebody is editing grammar and things like that if you're doing blogs. So, you know, I try to pick the things that are going to work best for me.
Excellent, excellent. And I really like the way you say, you know, that you're doing videos and that it's easier and it takes, you know, it takes less time. And, you know, I'm going to kind of translate. It's easier. It takes less time. It fits your style very well. You're very good in front of the camera. You're very good behind the microphone. You know, obviously you do the radio show. You know, I guess one of my questions to you would be, have you thought about taking those videos and, well, let me ask you this. For the videos you do now, this is a better way to put it. For the videos you do now, what do you do with the videos when you record? Like when you record a vlog or when you record a new video, what do you do with them right now?
Well, I'm a big fan of multi-purposing, which I'm sure you guys are as well. So, you know, I'm in the process of putting them into also a CD package that somebody could buy, because somebody might want to have it in their hand. Hey, and I'm always open, you know, doesn't matter where you are in your business, whether you are top in your field or wherever, the top athletes, they have coaches. So if you've got great ideas, I'm absolutely you know, open to that. And that's, you know, how one can multi-purpose it even further, right? I mean, I use it on the radio show, and I'll take those radio show episodes and provide that as content. There's a Productivity Master series that I have through all those interviews that are compiled together. I also created some cool videos where I took out every guest that I have. I asked them what's their definition of productivity, and every single guest, every single guest out of the year and a half I've had the show, not a single one has been the same, which is awesome. So it just shows that it's a really, you know, broad topic, and we need to have something, a language to communicate around it. And I created a video with each person's different definition. And then there's a worksheet with that for the individual to define there. So, you know, there's a lot of different ways I think that you can play with content.
And I got to say, Penny, I don't know if you intended it that way, but what a brilliant way to do keyword research, right?
That's true. I didn't intend it that way, but you know, sometimes you get extra benefits.
That's right.
So another question for you, Penny, is with the vlogs that you do. I think it's great that you multi-purpose. I think it's great you bring them together and look at selling them, put them in CDs, DVDs, providing them and everything. When you do the vlogs, how do you distribute them at the time you're doing them? Like, do you send them out to social media or anything when they get released, or do people have to be a part of your inner circle to get the vlogs?
Well, I'm really strategizing about that at the moment. At the moment, they've got to come into the app to get it, or they have to be on Vimeo where they're being posted, or YouTube, be subscribed to my. I haven't really started the campaign yet that will, you know, systematically send them out to them. However, I do plan to do that. I just need to take a step back and see what's the best way to do that. I do believe that that's an important thing to do, is not only passively get that information to them, but also to actively engage them.
Well, then today is your lucky day. well, but no, you know, I kind of say that a little tongue-in-cheek and a little salesman-y, but in all seriousness, I mean, that's part of what Mark and I do, and what I can do now, and this is where I'm glad we got to this point. And I know, as a great coach, I should be asking you more questions to get you to find the answers within yourself. I get it. We don't have that much. We don't have that much time.
We got to get to the episode. We don't. People want to see Penny's content because they want to be more productive, right?
Exactly. So we don't have that much time. So here's the thing of it. One of the things that you can do is just like Mark and I do, which is distribute your either pieces of or all of your content over 30 social media channels at any given time. So like when we do something for a client or we do something for ourselves, when we do a blog post, like when your video for this goes out, it's going to get pumped out to 30 different social media channels, all with different lists, different followers. Some of them overlap, yes, but the fact of the matter is the more coverage you get, you know, even if somebody sees it 5 times in their Twitter stream because they follow 5 people that are on your list, so to speak, it's more impactful. Now, let me say one thing real quick. A lot of people know I've heard about this whole buying Twitter followers and all that other stuff. That's not what I'm talking about. That's actually against Twitter's terms of service and their policy. And also, it's just not a good thing to do. Do it the right way and you'll succeed. So the fact of the matter is, you know, everything that we do, when we say 30, some of them are Mark's, some of them are mine, some of them are companies, some of them are other people's who said, yes, we will send this out to our list. So we get it out there. So that would be the first thing that I'd recommend you do is, you know, look at your plan and say, okay, how can I either partner with somebody or have somebody help me create, produce, and take care of the show so it can get distributed. The second thing is that, and Mark, I promise I won't go into the full explanation of 615, 60, 300. But but there's a system that just like you've systems, we've developed a system that kind of mirrors what TV and movie studios do. So the short version is you take your clip and you make the beginning, the first, as you saw from Mark, you make the opening of the clip very impactful, very powerful, so that people are skimming. They see that and say, okay, I want to watch it. You make the next piece of your clip something that when you pump it out, that will hook them into coming in and wanting to hear at least a little more. And then you make sure that the first, I'll say, couple of minutes of your clip ends on almost a cliffhanger so that you get them to want to listen to the rest of it. And then what you do with that is you use it just like TV and movie studios do, which is you use that as your promotional content. So maybe one day a week you literally send out your 6-second clip to your list, or you put it on Twitter, or you put it on Facebook to get their appetite whetted for what's to come. Then maybe a couple days later you put out the beginning piece to get their appetite whetted a little more, and then you put out the beginning part, and the beginning part ends up living live on your website and also gets out to your subscribers. And then what happens is you entice them to come in and actually join your community to get the rest of that piece of content. So the beautiful part about this system and what you can do on your own is, and you could take any variation of this, but what you can do on your own is take it and give people a little bit of content, kind of like iTunes does. You know, they give people a little bit of content. You want to preview the song before you actually buy it. So you put the previews on the public version of your website, and then you say, to get the rest of this, come on in and get a membership. And then one of the things you can do is, even though some of your inner circle is paid, you could implement a free version of your membership to give people access to maybe that content series and say, okay, if you want the rest of this content series, I'm willing to give this to you for free, just sign up. And then at the end of that content series, you can say, look, you've liked this content. I've got more where that came from. Here's my, my package, my program, whatever you want your next call to action to be. Now, one of the things a lot of people come to us and say, so wait a minute, isn't the free offering devaluing what my existing subscribers are already getting? And from our perspective and from the research we've done, it doesn't, because what you're doing is you're taking them on what we call a yes chain, or the yes train, so to speak. And you know from working with Tony, you know from working with Tony being one of his business coaches, there's a reason why he gets up there and starts and gets people to say yes, 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 and gets people into that motion. You know that that's the most effective way. And let's face it, regardless of where they got a free ticket or a paid ticket to come to one of his events, once he gets them on the S train, they're going to spend a lot more money at the end, which is good because it's helpful. So that would be a great way that you could take your content. You could take it with your existing content, or plan on as you create new content to do this. And one of the questions, and I'm going to wrap this up real quick here, Mark, one of the questions most people say is, well, wait a minute, with our existing content, we didn't do this. We didn't do our existing content thinking about cliffhangers, thinking about all this and thinking about, and I said, that's fine. You go through some of your content, pick the best ones, and just get, as Tony says, you got to get started.
Right.
So you go in, and if you don't want to do any other work other than splitting it up, you take your best stuff, you cut it down a little bit, and you put it out. The beautiful part about the video is if you want to go back and record an opening, if you want to go back and record a preview, it's really, really easy to do. And then you can always take the next step of getting the video transcribed and adding that in as a separate blog post.
Right.
So,
to get the words in there. Yeah.
Exactly. So that would be our consulting session to you. This video is going to be, you're going to have access to this video. So if I went a little too fast at some point, you'll be able to watch it again. And before I turn it back over to Mark for a second, I just want to give you a round of applause. Come on, Mark. We just want to give you a round of applause. Great job today, Penny. Mark, before I kind of wrap us up and get us into Penny's episode, any final thoughts from you at this point?
No, I just really want to thank you, Penny. I mean, this has been great. I mean, I was not joking when I said this is a subject that is near and dear to my heart. Chris can vouch for me that he's my productivity manager because my brain doesn't have that module built into it very well. So I really appreciate everything you're saying, and I will definitely be checking out your website and your book. All great stuff. So without further ado, though, I want to get to your actual episode so that people can see what we've done all the behind the scenes. Now we got to get to the scenes, right? So Chris, wrap us up, take us out, and roll the tape.
It sounds good. Yes, for those of you who only are used to digital, we used to call it tape. So this is kind of a leftover.
Right. Once upon a time.
Yeah, exactly. So
we even had film once,
Exactly. So here's three things. First of all, and I'll give Penny any last words of wisdom you want to throw out during our behind the scenes episode.
Well, what I'd like to just say that the episode is around productivity, and what's key is, and what came out in this discussion also is the tips that you're giving me, is people need to understand that it's a real important aspect of productivity is to delegate and to find the right partners who are going to help you to excel in that area. We don't want to and shouldn't wear all those hats. We should go out and find the people like yourselves who are experts in this area and really utilize this expertise so that I don't need to, recreate. And that's where a lot of energy is lost for a lot of business owners, is they try to do something they're not good at or they don't understand fully. So thank you. I mean, I appreciate that. And that's an important productivity tip. And I will definitely be, talking to you separately about outsourcing, because I totally believe in outsourcing.
Awesome. We look forward to it. So to wrap this, so thank you again, Penny, and thank you for those kind words. And to wrap us up, if you liked what Penny was just saying about productivity, you want to stick around and watch her episode. It was a great episode. You're going to get a lot of tips. You definitely want to get a pen and a piece of paper out. Have your pause button ready, because you're going to get a lot out of it. If you're a coach or consultant and know that being on Expert Showcase is going to help boost your business and help give you a great piece of content you can use to market your business, then what we want you to do is go to expertshowcase.com, click on the apply button, go through the simple, easy, and quick application process that we have. We'll check it out, get back to you, and see if you are our next featured expert guest on Expert Showcase. And lastly, if you're a coach or consultant and you know that video is the way to go, and you already know that you want to create your own internet talk show, be featured on YouTube and other channels and social media all over the place, and you know this is what you want, head over to VideoContent.Agency. Check out some examples of what we've done. Check out the blog. Check out our packages, and get in contact with us, and let's see if we're a good fit to work together. And let's see if we can, produce your show and make you the next star, or at least give you some great marketing content behind your content. So without any further ado, Mark, I'm going to, as I look around for my controls, roll the digital tape. Roll the tape.
Today on Experts Showcase, Penny Zenker, productivity expert, taking you into the productivity zone. And Penny, welcome to Experts Showcase. We're so glad to have you as today's expert with this really important topic, productivity, time management, and I think we'll talk about why that's a bad term, right? So tell us a little bit about why what we're talking about in today's episode.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me here. Today's episode we're going to talk about the productivity zone. And the reason, I'll use that term loosely as you did, time management. That's why I like to call it productivity. It's so important today because we live in a world of overstimulation today. People are overwhelmed, frustrated, and overloaded. And so, or at least that's the way they feel. And so it's why it's important to understand how do we perform optimally, efficiently, and effectively so that we feel good and we feel productive and really, are at the top of our game.
Absolutely. Excellent. And as we like to do on Expert Showcase, we try to break it down to 3 core bullet points, 3 keys to success. So I'm just going to review those real quick that we talked about before the show. So we're going to talk about productivity, and that it's not time management, it's energy management. Then we're going to get into the 10 core drivers that get you into and keep you into this productivity zone. And then we're going to talk about the 3 time wasters and how you can stay focused on your goals. So this sounds really great. As when we bring Chris on later, you'll find out that this is a really important topic for me. So you're going to be my coach and consultant for this episode. So let's talk about productivity. It's not about time management. I love that for a lot of reasons, but let's talk about that.
All right, well, I'll tell you 2 things about why it's not about time management. First of all, time management is a really broad term, and a lot of people understand it to be different things. Many people think of it as planning and organization, and that's time management. But the fact is that there's a lot more that go into it. So we need to be able to define specifically what is time management so that we can actually measure it and manage it, right? So that's the first thing. And secondly, if you don't mind me,
go right ahead.
is that time is finite. We can't control time.
Right, exactly.
Right? We think we have this illusion, right, that it's about time, but the fact is it isn't about time because time is finite and we can't control it. So we have to focus on what we can control.
And that's the key that I love so much because, I've always hated that term time management because if you try to manage your time, it's incredibly frustrating, right? Because unless you're into some kind of Einsteinian quantum physics or something and can approach the speed of light, that ain't going to happen, right? All we can do is try to organize, somebody once called it sequencing events or event management, not time management, and that was really helpful to me since I'm not necessarily the best time manager in the world, as some people will tell you. So how do you focus on that? You say it's energy management. What do you mean by energy management?
Well, that's right, because it's, a piece of it might be your event management that you talked about, but the fact is we all have the same amount of time. So what's the difference between a day where things just go like that, right, and you're just in the flow and you get a ton done, and that day where you're like, oh, where did the time go?
Exactly. What is the difference? Help me out here.
Well, you just said it. The difference is the energy. It's how you manage your energy and how much of yourself you bring to that time. So the fact is, it's not about time management, it's about how you manage your personal energy and how you show up for that time is going to make all the difference to what you achieve in that time.
And can you give us, me personally, I'm going to be very selfish here, can you give us some tips on how to, how to bring that energy? I mean, how do you work with your clients to approach this energy question?
Right, bring it.
Just bring it.
Bring it. Well, that's the thing, right? Is you need to know, okay, what are the components? And a lot of times people talk about things, but they don't give you the components. And there are actually 4 components that make up our energy management.
Okay, cool.
Right? So the first one, and I'll only be able to touch upon what they are. Obviously, right. It goes a lot deeper. It's the tip of the iceberg kind of thing. But the first one is purpose. And that's tapping into why you're doing something. Mm-hmm. Really understanding the goal and the vision there, right? And because that's where the passion and the drive comes from. Does that make sense? Yeah,
the why, right, that drives you.
Right. And that can go down to the big why as well as the why and what you're going to do for this hour, mm-hmm. right? So it's at both sizes. The second thing is the language. It's the self-talk that we have. A lot of people are plagued with negative self-talk and asking ourselves really poor quality questions. So, really the way we show up for things, if we've got something to do and we go, oh, I hate this, you think you're going to bring your top energy to your game as you start to do it. No, right?
Right, exactly.
So the third thing is a thing that a lot of people think about all the time, which is focus. Mm-hmm. Right. So the third thing is focus.
That's my problem.
There you go. And you know, in today's distractions, but there's actually 3 elements of focus. I'm not going to be able to go into that today, but there's a lot more, again, to define specifically what are the things that are going to help you get really laser focused.
Excellent. Cool.
And you want to know what the 4th thing is?
I do. I'm waiting with bated breath here.
Well, it's obvious. It's physiology.
Okay.
Right? Because if
I got to be breathing.
You've got to be breathing, but it's more than, right? Then that's the funny thing is most of us don't breathe properly. When we're under stress, our breath starts to shorten, and we don't get the same amount of energy and oxygen that we need, and so we actually get into more of a fight or flight type of thing, so that we're not at our best.
That makes great sense. Absolutely.
So yeah, it's Jane Fonda's "Don't Forget to Breathe," right? We're back to the age-old "Don't forget to breathe," but it's the nutrition that we take in. It's how we take care of our body. It's very
clearly we're going to have you back to do an entire show episode just on energy management, because clearly we could go on for quite a while there, but we're only, as you said, we're only going to be able to hit the highlights there because we want to hit a couple of other highlights here. So let me segue then into, you talk about 10 core drivers that people need to tap into to get into this productivity zone. So again, we're not going to have anywhere close to time to get into the 10, so we're basically going to identify them, and we're then going to tell people how to get in touch with you if they really want to dig in deep here.
Right. Well, you already heard 4 of them, so that's
okay. Okay, so those 4 points are part of the 10 drivers. Okay.
They are, because that would be really mean for me to throw another,
Because then it would be 14. Yeah, that would be really kind of, that's, yeah.
Then we're all confused, right?
So pushing it. At 14, you're just asking a lot of me.
That's right. 10 is pushing it already.
All right, so we got 6 more to go.
You've already heard 4, and that's part of championship psychology, right? I group them to make it a little bit easier. So that energy management is also, it's our mindset, it's our psychology. Mm-hmm. And then we move into another segment, which is winning strategies. So once we get the psychology, and that has to be first, right? Those 4 things have to come first for everything else to follow. Otherwise, we're not going to get the result we're looking for. So the other 3 things that come are winning strategies. And I'll just name them,
okay.
Because we don't have time to go into them. And that's planning, process, and priority. Those are the things that are going to help us get control and set our strategies in the right direction.
So planning, process, and priorities.
That's right. And so the last segment is sustainable results, because we don't just want to blip up and then go back down. We want to be able to maintain that, right? And so that's in the sustainable results part. And there's 3 things that are part of that, and that is it's progress, so it's measurement, and it's proactivity. So those 3 things are going to go into making that, the rest of building on top of that to create that stability.
Excellent. So there's a lot here to dig into, but I do like how you group them. That makes it a little easier for my brain to absorb them and and pull them all together. But yeah, this is very cool. And so if I can really get all 10 of these kind of humming along, this is like a large vehicle. It's a 10-cylinder engine that's kind of humming in sync. I'm going to be in what you're calling this productivity zone and have a lot more of those days where I feel like I've just gotten a ton of things done, right?
Absolutely. But the thing is there's not like one single point in the zone. It's not like you got to be a 10 at all of these items, because then that sounds stressful in itself.
They're all on a continuum, right, from day to day, moment to moment.
Right. Well, the key thing is that if you're working on any of those, it's going to help you to get back into the zone. So it gives you more flexibility, and you'll be able to assess yourself, through, I do have an assessment that enables you to actually, get a picture of where you are now, so that you can focus on the ones that maybe you might be great in planning, but your negative self-talk is really something that needs to be worked on. So you know specifically where you need to work, and that's a real benefit, because if you don't know where you are now and where you're falling short, then you're really not able to close the gap.
Right, you can't figure out where to really put your focus if you're trying to improve on these things. So that makes perfect. I'm a big fan of assessments. We'll get to where people can tap into your assessment in just a minute. But before we do that, let's then talk about the time wasters. So what are the 3 time wasters you're talking about that really keep me from being focused on the goal?
Okay, so Well, there's a lot of time wasters, but we'll give you the 3 top ones.
The big 3.
The big 3. Well, the first one we talked about, negative self-talk, is really a huge thing that holds people back.
Mm-hmm.
And so I call it's the excuses, right? How many times do people spend so much time talking about why they can't do something? Oh, I don't have the time. And they go into like this elaborate excuse where, they would have already been able to get started or create a little plan about how to do it or find someone else to do it in that time. So it's really, we get so caught up in our stories and our excuses, and those are one of the biggest time wasters that most people don't even think about.
And you know what people say all the time is, well, it's not an excuse. There's a reason. And somebody once told me, that's just the polite word for an excuse. We all have reasons, and just substitute reason with excuse, and let's deal with it, right?
Absolutely.
So beyond the excuses, what comes next?
Well, we've got this, we went to this open environment where people have access to us all the time, right? Whether it's
so
in an
true.
office space,
Right.
in an office space, they've gotten rid of offices and everybody has, these cubicles, or it's an open space, or we have accessibility with text messaging and so forth. So one of the biggest challenges is the got-a-minute meeting, okay? So let's face it, right? I dread those meetings. Hey, Penny, got a minute?
It's not generally a minute, is it?
Right. That's the killer part, right? And you've probably heard of the studies that it takes. Time management experts have shown that it takes about 20 minutes to get back into doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Absolutely. Get right back on track. It's not like that. Now you got to kind of reboot,
Right. So if we're not in control of our environment, we're really wasting a lot of our time through those got-a-minute meetings.
Excellent. Okay. And what's our third biggest time waster?
And the third thing, and this is funny because we all know it, so many studies have been out there that tell us that multitasking, right, is something that is really wasting our time because it's diminishing our focus, and it's really, I think I heard somewhere that it was in comparison to your productivity was about the same as smoking marijuana. So, whatever. I know that there's a saying that only women can multitask, and no offense, that's what I've read. But it's not. It's really not true. That when we're multitasking and we're not really focusing our attention and our priority on what we're looking to achieve, we are somewhat, throwing certain pieces of time and energy away.
Absolutely, and neuroscience has really now shown that really there is no such thing as a living human being who is a multitasker. There is a degrading of what you're doing on any of those tasks when you have 2 instead of 1. Some people are just better able at switching quickly, but really they are not really multitasking any more than your computer really can. I mean, everything starts to slow down the more programs we got running, right? So
absolutely, right. And even think about it. Some people think over little things like talking on the phone and folding laundry or something like that, and that might be fine. And if you're having a more intimate conversation and you really want to connect with someone, you're not 100% focused, and they can feel that, the energy.
I have not verified this one, but it's just too good a quote that somebody had, which is that because of all this technology and multitasking, that the human attention span has been measured to be slightly less than that of a goldfish.
There you go.
Then again, what has a goldfish got to focus on all that much in there? Well, Penny, this has been great. I mean, there's a wealth of information, obviously, here. We are barely scratching the surface. That much is clear. Maybe you should write a book. Oh, I guess you have.
Good idea. What should I call it, Mark?
That's right. So let me wrap it up, and I'll tell people what you've called it here. So we've been talking with Penny Zenker, who is obviously a productivity time management expert, even though we don't like that. She's going to help you manage your energy. We've been talking about the productivity zone and how you get in it and stay in it. We've covered the fact that it ain't about time management, it's about energy management. We've hit 10 core drivers that will get you into that productivity zone, and we've talked about 3 of huge time wasters that are preventing you from being more productive. So Penny, it's been great having you. I know that you have a great website. People can go to P as in Paul, 10, the numeral, app as an app.com. And we got it up on screen, so I don't know why I'm saying it out, letter by letter here, but maybe you're just listening. You're multitasking and you're not really reading the screen. Shame on you. And I know that you have written a book, right? And you have called it The Productivity Zone, Stop the Tug of War with Time. Did I get that right?
That's right. Shameless plug.
There you go. Shameless plug. So get on over to Penny's website, p10app.com. Check out the book. Clearly you need to get in touch with Penny directly where she can talk to you about how this gets customized to your personal circumstances. I know you do coaching, consulting, speaking, book writing. Did I miss anything?
But not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time. She does not believe in multitasking like that. So get in touch with Penny, p10app.com. Penny's been great having you on the show. Look forward to talking to you again real soon.
Thank you. It's been great being here. Thank you so much.
And another great Expert Showcase episode. Chris, what should people do right now?
Yeah, if you're watching this and you're a coach or consultant, imagine what it would do for you and your business if you were a guest on Experts Showcase. And here's the best part. Other than possibly increasing your business, an appearance on Expert Showcase is free. We give you a copy of your episode so you can use as marketing collateral, and we give you a coaching session to go along with it to tell you how you can best market your episode and other tips and tricks about your business. So what you want to do is head on over to expertshowcase.com, click on the big yellow apply button, and apply to be our next featured guest on the Expert Showcase. Now, if you're a coach or consultant and you've already imagined what having your own internet talk show will do for you, then we want you to head to VideoContent.Agency and check us out, check our packages out, and get in contact with us. Let's see if we're a good fit, and let's see if we're the ones to produce you and make you the next star and have your own internet talk show. And until next time, Mark, anything else?
I couldn't have said it any better, so just do what he said.